Hi there, welcome to the archives. I just was thinking, because I have notes, I think it was the end of the year or the top of the year, I wrote notes and I said I wanted to do a blog on BDSM and kink. And I haven't done it yet because I found that in having the conversation, it could still come off as sending abusers to the BDSM community, which they don't need that, right? Nobody needs abusers. Today is day 2 of the Dom Sub Dynamics Summit, and it's hosted every year by Alexandra and her partner, Jay. Jay is her Dom, they're married. Alexandra is a sub, and they host this conference, attending them the last couple years. And so as I'm thinking through, I just listened to a couple sessions. I had a busy day yesterday, so I wasn't able to watch any of it. But as I am listening to some of the recordings and also thinking about the Louis Theroux documentary, is bringing me back to the initial thoughts I had written down at the top of the year. And I think maybe now is the time to have that conversation. So this week I've been thinking, because my mind tends to go into like fixing solutions mode. So I've been thinking, before I even go, again, I still haven't watched the documentary, but as I'm thinking about returning to watch the documentary, I'm thinking about like, what are solutions? Like, I'm sick of having these conversations year after year after year about like, if I had men in my life that I loved, I would want them to know about BDSM communities. Because I find that these communities are having conversations that are most vanilla couples are not having, right? They're talking about power and domination. They're talking about consent. They're talking about power abuse. They're talking about control, trauma and fear, aftercare. They're negotiating shame. They're talking about shame, conflict resolution, communication. These communities are having the conversations that I think men in the manosphere need to be having in a healthy way. But right now they're having it in like, I want to dominate, okay. There are communities there are people that are okay with that, right? There are women that are looking for somebody to dominate them. Pair with the right women, and do it in a way that honors your contract, that honors respect, that honors, or maybe if you don't want to respect women, you put that in your contract and your sub knows that like my partner, my Dom is going to humiliate me, is going to subjugate me because this is what I want. But there's a choice. There's an agency. And I think that's what a lot of these men are missing. I think I want more of them to know that there are models of how to do things differently, right? Earlier I was thinking about like NDP is a party that I think a lot of men in the manosphere need to pay attention. I've been listening to Avi Lewis speak a lot the couple of days because NDP is having their convention this weekend. Today is March 24th. And I was thinking, Avi Lewis, who are some of the other men? Tony, there's another one. Those are men that I think men in the manosphere need to know exist. It might confront them, it might challenge them, but to see men doing masculinity in a more healthy way, in a less toxic way, is important. I think men in BDS communities can be helpful to men in the manosphere, because what men in the manosphere are asking for, it already exists in a healthier form that's not as toxic. So I wrote here, kink opens up a certain tolerance level for embracing deviance. Abusers love power. They want control. They desire domination, and some love to humiliate. They sometimes violate boundaries because it turns them on. Even if you don't say no, but the vibe is a no, they enjoy going anyway, right? The rape culture. They would do better with women who fantasize about these things. Again, I'm not talking about the abuse, right? But I'm saying that there's certain ideologies that they're looking for, that it exists in healthier ways, right? If you want a servant, great. I think one of them was like, my girl cleans. Okay, there are women who that's what they want. Okay, but there's a choice. I choose with my agency to give away this power, right? As a kinky girly, I don't mind giving away certain powers. I want you to take control of this. I want you to pay for this. I want you to do this. But they don't do it. Abusers who are outside, like vanilla, who are not within the BDS community, they don't know how to do it in a healthy way. They need to grab it with no consent. They didn't ask. You don't like it. There's a force. There's a power struggle they enjoy. You can have a power struggle in a healthy way. It might look deviant to some people, but what you're doing is already deviant, right? Go where the deviance is celebrated. Go where there's a container where you can both and all be safe, right? There are other ways to living that doesn't include so much violence where people are not being hurt. You can be a dom without hurting people. You can. Some of the sessions today or yesterday, I'll just tell you some of this is why is your DS dynamics keeps resetting to vanilla. Jay and Alexandra did that yesterday. Pain mechanisms for playing with pain on purpose. Marvelous impacts, sensual flogging. How to talk to your partner about kink. Repairing DS after conflict. These are some of the conversations that they're having, right? Yes, no, this is what I want. Some men are very deviant and they enjoy, like I said, the rape culture. No, and they love it, right? Rape. They enjoy raping women, essentially. That power is what turns them on. Well, there are women who fantasize about being raped. Find those as your partner. Don't go to a woman who's been traumatized and does not want that. Again, that doesn't mean you find a woman who fantasizes about rape or fantasizes about slave dynamics, right? Master-slave dynamics, so on and so forth. That doesn't mean you go find them and then you take them for granted. You violate their boundaries outside of scenes, right? Again, there's an abuse element here that doesn't need to go into the BDSM communities. What I'm thinking, though, is that these communities can give alternatives. Right? We need these men to know that you can be in a power dynamic that isn't imbalanced. Or if it is imbalanced, it's a choice by those that are involved. You've written a contract so everybody's covering themselves legally. You have a safe word so you know when enough is enough. Right? You're creating a healthy container. And so, for those that are interested, check out Luna Matata's is doing Hers Goes Live, right? Luna is from Toronto. I used to work with her back in the days in Mississauga when I worked in Peel, right? That is somebody that you need to go to learn how to negotiate stuff, right? How to negotiate shame. I follow Luna for a lot of this. Her topic today is going to be on power play with one. The rewards of solo play, solo toys, all of that. But that's what I've been thinking. Again, I don't want to go into all of these because it's a really complicated dynamics, and I don't want it to seem like I'm sending abusers to the BDSM community because they don't want you there. But pay attention to how they're doing it in a healthy way, right? There are alternatives. That's all. Until next time, in solidarity.